YouTube, what is going on? We're back. Typically what I usually do is I do the intro, but I let the I let Fetchko take this show there. So that's him just being his goofy self. And I know if he were here right now, he'd say, we ain't here for a long time, we're here for a good time. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm doing a Mohawk style fade. And, you know, per the bro, we called it a Brohawk. So we're giving them a Brohawk today, guys. That's what we're going to be doing. As you can see, when I first started the fade, I created the V shape in the back of the head. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to get a symmetrical V in the back instead of rounding it. So I started in the back. And right here, as you can see, I'm starting with my 2 guard. I've got it all the way open. And what I'm doing is I'm just creating that top guideline following the curve of the original bald guideline that I put in. In this right here, I'm using my Wahl 1.5 guard, and I've got my lever open, and I'm just following up right underneath that 2 guard that I previously used. And I'm not trying to go higher than that, and I want to keep everything along the parietal ridge. And what I'm going to be doing, just like every other guideline, I'm going to start that lever open, and I'm going to close it on down till I see you know, that blend coming out, and I got that lever all the way closed, and then I'll work on to the next guard. And right back at it with that number 1, following up that 1.5. Always got the lever open when I'm putting in that guideline, and I'm just blending my way down. So I'm going to be closing it up a little bit, opening it up a little bit, do some lever play here and there, but my main objective is to start with it open, work down till it's closed, and then I'll work on the next guideline. Another thing, guys, always make sure to remember where, you know, that guard was that you just had. You don't ever want to take it higher than, you know, what that previous guideline was, because you want to try and minimize raising that blend. You want to blend down into that bald guideline. After that 1 open and closed, we're going right into it with a half guard. This right here, I'm kind of doing more of a flick motion, a little bit of kind of like, I'm softening that line line right underneath the 1 guard, just so that you know, that open lever will go smoothly into it. And this right here, no guard, lever open, and I'm going to be doing lever play until I can get that bottom line out. All my clippers are gapped just so that I can go straight from foil shavers into trimmers into a closed 0, into a closed lever. Sometimes people don't always have their clippers gapped. You know, they like to leave them more natural, but everything that I've got is gapped. The only thing that's not gapped as much are trimmers, and that's what I use on little kids. And typically I don't always go down to a bald fade on kids anyways. I always leave a little bit of a stubble. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the the Brohawk. And this right here, now I'm going to be working on the back of this cut, and I'm going to be tying in that V into the front blend. So I'm going to start with my half guard. I want to create more of a harder guideline when I'm blending in it right now. The reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to spread out that V too much, like the blend in the V. I don't want to spread that out too much. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a quicker transition into that back curve that goes from the V into the section right behind his ear. So that's the reason why I'm doing that. And as you can see, I went from the half guard directly into no guard, and I'm just doing some lever play until this gets blended out. And as you can see on this side, I'm doing the exact same thing, and I'm going to be following the exact same steps. And I'm just showing you how I'm going to be curving it. I've already created that V shape in the back, and that's where my final guideline is going to be for this Mohawk. And as you notice, I didn't take it all the way down to the back of the neck. We usually like to leave his Mohawk about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches up. Just, it's where he likes to have it. So, we got that going, and I'm just going to be creating the same guidelines, following the same steps. Everything will be prompted on screen. Just doing a quick little bald line right now, cleaning up that skin, making it nice and fresh, and trying getting, everything to be as even as possible. Same steps on the other side. 2 open, dropping it down till it's closed. And right here, guys, I'm just following up again with my 1.5 guard all the way open. Just following that curve of the original guideline that I set in down at the bottom, that bald guideline, and just making sure I stay lower than that 2 guard. And here we go again, following it up with that number 1. Just trying to make sure I can get that blend already popping as I'm going down. I really want to try and make it stand out as I'm working, because I don't want to do too much touch-up work and detail work, but I still do that after, the cuts and after I do my guidelines, and I'm always, working to try and perfect it. But I try and get the blend as seamless as possible while I'm working on it. And as you can see, the blend's coming out already. I'm only taking it to about 3/4 of the way through to the back of the haircut. So right behind where that curve ends into that point, I'm kind of stopping it there because I'm going to tie in that V back up into it. Right here, I got my lever open, and I'm just going to be, following the same steps. Just, keeping it open, lowering it a little bit, closing that lever, keeping it underneath that half guard, and just doing some lever play until I get that blend exactly where I want it. And there were a couple spots that I saw that could be touched with that half guard, just doing a little bit of detail work. Just, you know, trying to get that blend nice and buttery. A little bit more detail work, you know, is a little bit too dark for my liking. I wanted that blend to be a little bit smoother, so now I'm just following up with my 1.5 guard, my magic guard is what I call it, and just softening up those lines and trying to make it not as dark, you know, trying to get it a little bit more smooth. And this is where, you know, I tie in that back of it. And I would have went right in with a half guard right here, but it was a little bit darker than what I wanted, so I just tapped it with that 1.5 guard. And you know, I'm going to be doing the same process, just following up until I get that V shape blended in with the curve. And this right here, this is where we start doing this little design. I've been doing like chopsticks or snake bites. You know, they're called a couple different things, kind of which way they're facing or which way, you know, they're pointed. But I wanted to just do something quick, do something that would complement the you know, the haircut that we got. I didn't want to do anything too crazy, didn't want to do any curves or swirls or freestyle lines, so I just did something simple. And this is me just trying to figure out where I want it. And you know, I'm gonna have them right in the middle. I'm trying to line up where I want the point to be, because you've got, it's like an extended triangle almost. So I'm gonna put the points to the, like the bottom of that V, so it's like they're going into the V, and I'm gonna make it a little bit more wide at the top, as you can see. And as I'm doing this, I'm just freestyling. I don't know where it's gonna be, I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but you know, I'm just going for it, knowing that I got what it takes to make it happen. So, you know, when you do something like this, it kind of makes the hairstyle pop a little bit more than it would if you didn't have something in there, especially with the hard lines. I mean, you've got the blend right in the back, and then you've got that V shape with those hard, distinct lines. I really think it looks good, and whenever there's a V-shape haircut, this is like my go-to design. I love the way it looks. It makes it really stand out. So, you know, we went with it for him, and we got it on there for him. And look at that. It's looking smooth. Following up with my foil shavers, my Bronze Series 9. Absolutely love these things. And there's nothing that, you know, that they can't go through. So, just cleaning it up, and as you can see, you know, that blends there. You know, it's sticking out more in the back, especially because, you know, it's hard lines, it's not blended. I stopped it, and you know, we're really making it pop. So that's what it's all about, being unique, freestyling, caring about what you do, and just going after it. This right here, getting my man's hair wet, and now we're about to do some shear work up top. The first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sectioning the hair. Right on top, I went and did a middle parting directly to the right of where his colic is, and what I'm going to be doing is pulling the hair on each side over where the blend is. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the hairs to fall over that blend, and I want to cut the excess hair. It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see more on the other side. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when you push the hair back forward, the hair is going to naturally lay in its formation, and what's going to happen is it will kind of hang off onto the side, and once you clip those hairs that are hanging over, it's going to lay more naturally. And this way you don't have to constantly go up with clipper over comb and get it. This way it's a little bit more controlling. You can control the shape of the blend, and you can really start to, you know, get that foundation in the form of the haircut of what you're going to do. Plus, we're going to be doing more of a spiky hairstyle on him, so this will really complement it. It's a little bit different ways to cut it than a comb over. So you're going to want to, follow different methods and different steps. So what I'm doing right here is I'm taking that vertical parting straight from the crown all the way up to the forehead. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting the back of the hair towards the back of the crown a little bit shorter than the very front of it. It's going to be angled up a little bit. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want the hair in the back to be longer. I want the hair in the front to be a little bit longer. And I'm just taking another vertical section right here, a little bit behind it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to see, the long bits and the short bits, so I can get an even haircut throughout through this whole process. So you want the short to be you want the back to be a little bit shorter, and you want it to vertically climb up to the front where the bangs are. And this way it'll give kind of it'll give the haircut shape, and it won't be so flat. And I think, with spiky hairstyles and messy hairstyles, it looks really good. This is something that I like to do at the end. I like cutting the bangs towards the end of the haircut. This way I'm not cutting them too short. There's been a couple times when I first started out, I'd always start with the bangs or pull them up too much, and they would be a lot shorter than the rest of the haircut, and it just wouldn't look good. And this way, if you do have shorter hair in the middle and the bangs are really long, you can precisely get those bangs to exactly where you want it to where it sits. Now we're into the beard. This is one of my favorite parts. I love doing beards. We're taking it down with a 1 guard open. We're going to do this all the way around, and then we're going to blend in the top from, obviously from bald into that one. And typically what I like to do is I like to line up the back, and I like to line up the shape of that top line on the beard before I usually do a blend. And it's my preferred method, and I think I have a little bit more control, and I got a little bit more of a shape with the beard when I do it like that. And this right here, depending on where your client likes that top line, I usually like to go straight to the corner of the lip where the top lip and that bottom lip meet. The reason why I like to do that is because most beards aren't full higher than the upper, like where that top lip is, but I don't like taking it too low, just because I don't want it to look like a chin strap. But some clients like it a little bit lower. You just got to ask them, what they like, what they feel is best. You can always, show them where the line would be. Make sure you consult and find out where exactly you want that line, because the last thing you want to do is take it down too low, or leave it too high and not have them satisfied with what you're doing. And doing the same thing on the left side, following it up with that 1 guard. I'm going to create the shape of the beard first, and then I'll blend down into it. And right here, guys, we're going to be lining up his mustache. And when I line up mustaches, I typically like to start in the middle, and I work my way out to the sides. This way, you give it a little bit more control, and it's easier to create that shape that you want. I've started from the top. Sometimes I'll like line up the top part of the mustache first, but usually I like to start above the lip because it gives me a little bit more control with keeping the thickness of the mustache on how I want it. So that's how I go about it. And now we're done, lining up the back of this this beard right here. We're gonna get straight underneath his neck. Now, usually I would leave the beard a little bit lower than the jawline, But when you want to complement strong jaw features, I typically like to leave it a little bit underneath the jaw, not directly on it, but that dark contrast when the neck sits down and his face is level, those jaw lines will appear even darker, so it'll make it pop out a little bit more. Now we're hitting him with the lineup, and we don't get rid of his widow's peak, we leave it. One thing I suggest is ask your clients if looking at the camera like that. So ask your clients what what they prefer. I prefer a natural lineup, if they've got any kind of styled hair, if it's not a buzz cut or something really short. I usually like to leave the widow's peak in and use it to its natural hair growth pattern. This way you don't have to constantly get rid of the widow's peak. You won't always have a stubble. So just try and let it grow in. See if they like it, and if they don't, you can always get rid of it. And we're getting that uni. He's got that Anthony Davis going on, so we gotta get rid of it for him. But you always go in, touch up your client's eyebrows. If there's any extra hair, just make sure to get it. Now I'm using my, what do I got? I think Elegance Shave Gel. I used to use shave cream when I first started, but you can't really see the line. And that's why I love shave gel so much, because one, it helps prevent irritation on the skin. And two, you can see what you're lining up. Just make sure to wipe it off when you're doing it, because it can get, a little bit extra, and there can be some excess, and it can kind of mess up your lines and not allow you to see exactly what you're doing. So just try and make sure to wipe it up as much as you can. And don't use too much, so don't want it to be super gooey. Now we're just working on the other side, making sure to stretch that skin, get the back of the beard, get under the ear, really pull the skin in all different sorts of directions so you can get a nice clean line, and you can get all those little baby hairs and stubbles that are sticking out. And always make sure to go over it a couple more times once you wipe away the excess shave lotion and gels, just so that you can get a nice crisp line. In this right here, I'm going to be styling his hair. I've already sprayed his hair a little bit, so it is damp. It's not wet. It's in between dry and wet, so it's a little damp. This way, it's not too wet, so the hair can absorb into it, and it's not too dry to where it gets clumpy. So I'm just, moving it all around his hair. We're going to be doing a messy style anyway, so I'm just trying to get in as much as I can. And I'm just using my blow dryer, and I'm just lightly flicking out with the hair, making the hair tight and pulling it just so that, we can get the shape that we want. And since it's a messy hairstyle, it doesn't have to be perfectly blow dried. You just move it around, get it dry, try and get it into the shape that you want. This way you'll have it up in the air, get it spiky and messy, and, it'll look great once you're done. And I've got my blow dryer, I believe it's on high speed. Yeah, it's on high speed right now, so level 3 with the Dyson blow dryer, and I was popping back and forth with different temperatures as well. Now we're following it up after that light work with Slick Gorilla. That's the name of the product. It's Slick Gorilla. It's the light work. Now we're just following back up with some texturizing powder. And the reason why I'm following up is because I don't want it to be as shiny as it was before. I want it to look a little bit more dull and kind of give it a little bit more of a firmness and some thick texture, which is the reason why I'm going through with it now. And I'm just, you know, moving the hair around a little bit to the desired shape, seeing what hairs lay where, trying to work with the natural shape of his hair, with his cowlicks in the front, with the widow's peak, and just try and make it overall look, you know, as nice as possible. Now I'm going to be going over the hair, especially his cowlicks. He has 2 cowlicks on the side of his head, on the left side and the right side. So every haircut we do, I always cut it, blow dry and style it, and then I follow up and I get these cowlicks in the corners. And I suggest doing that very last if you ever have a client who's got a hairstyle like this, like a spiky, messy look, a quiff, or any kind of comb over. Always hit those last, because the way that they're going to want to style their hair, that's how the corners, you know, those cowlicks in the corners of the hair are going to lay. And when you clip them at the very end, that's the finalized look. So whenever they go to style their hair, it's going to look like that. It's not going to look, you know, prematurely cut, or it's not going to have any short hairs. You'll know exactly where the hair is laying, so you'll be able to fine tune it that way. It's kind of like detailing work for for scissor cutting. So as you can see, I'm just kind of doing some freehand motions, freehand cuts, letting the hair fall where it wants to. And this is how he styles his hair, so he's not really going to style it any other way. This is how he wears it, so I know exactly how to cut it. Plus, I cut his hair all the time, so I'm familiar with him. He's comfortable with me doing my thing. And that's how we do it. So I'm done with the cut. Got that V shape in the back, put a nice little design in it. Let me know what you guys think. You know, as you can see, spinning him around. Look at that fresh cut. You got that fresh fade. He's feeling good. Got a nice crisp beard. And as you can see, you know, you got that V in the back, so it makes it pop because it's not faded. You know, you got that little design. Makes it stand out more than it normally would. And I was moving the camera around a little bit, like, on the tripod without spinning him. I wanted to see what it looked like. You know, not the best quality because it's a little bit blurry, but that's what we got. That's the blend, that's the fade. So let me know what you think. If you like it, share it, leave a comment, you know, let me know what I could do different, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So that's the blend, and that's the bro. We got a bro hawk. Take care. Till next time, guys. Peace.